Fairyland is not a place you escape to. So that's the opening line of the material we're covering today.
It's quite a statement to start with.
It is. And I have to be honest with you, and with you listening, when I first saw the title for this deep dive, Fairyland, my eyes rolled a little bit.
Just a little.
Okay, maybe a lot. I mean, you see that and you immediately think we're about to review fantasy novels or something.
Right. Escapism.
Exactly. My brain goes straight to, running away from my mortgage and ignoring my emails to go frolic in a meadow. It feels childish.
Or just irresponsible. But the text pivots so fast, doesn't it? It says, no, that's not it at all. It's a way of perceiving.
It's total bait and switch, but in the best way.
It is. The source material kind of acknowledges that baggage we all have with words like enchantment. We think it's about fantasy, but this analysis is strictly psychological. It's arguing that what we call enchantment isn't about magic spells. It's about a physiological and sensory shift in how we process the raw data of reality.
And that's the hook for me. It's not about magic, it's about biology. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to explore how our attention, our nervous system, and this is the hardest part for me, relaxing our obsession with being useful can actually alter the reality we live in.
The hardest part for everyone, I think.
Right. And I want to say, if you're listening and you're feeling cynical about this, stick with us. Because the source makes a really compelling case that this state is actually more real than the daily grind we're all used to.
It really does. And to get it, we have to look at how the source just deconstructs that definition. It says, this state, this fairyland, is what appears when attention softens.
When attention softens. Let's just stay with that for a second.
Yeah.
Because usually my attention is, it's hard. It's a laser beam.
Right. You're locking onto a target. Think about your average Tuesday morning. You're driving to work. Your attention is sharp. It's narrow.
I'm looking for gaps in traffic. I'm looking for the train arrival time.
You're filtering out everything else. And the source has a name for that. It calls it numbness.
The world seen without numbness. That phrase really hit me because it implies that my default state, the way I walk around 90% of the time, is numb. And I want to push back a little. Am I really numb? Or am I just focused? I mean, I have to be focused to survive my commute.
Well, think about what you don't see. The source argues that to function in a high-efficiency world, we have to filter things out. If you noticed every distinct texture of the asphalt, every shift in the light.
I'd crash the car.
You'd crash the car. You'd never get to the office. You'd be staring at a leaf in your driveway.
Okay, fair point.
So yeah, that efficiency requires a kind of sensory blindness. We delete the data we don't need. But the source suggests that this filtering process, over time, it deadens us. We stop seeing the world as it is, and we only see it as a path to get somewhere else.
So Fairyland, in this context, is just turning that filter off.
It's like taking noise-canceling headphones off your entire nervous system. The text says, in this state, small things start to matter again. Light, texture, sound, they're noticed rather than ignored.
It says the world is allowed to feel alive again. I love that word, allowed. It suggests the world was always alive. We stopped letting it in. But here's where I get a little tripped up. The source says this state exists where imagination and reality overlap without conflict.
Right. And that sounds like a contradiction.
It does.
Yeah.
Usually, if I'm imagining something, I'm not seeing what's really there. I'm making stuff up.
But think about a scientist or an artist. When a geologist looks at a rock formation, they see the rock. That's the reality. But they also layer their knowledge, their curiosity on top of it. They imagine the geological forces that created it.
So they're seeing the raw data, but overlaying it with wonder.
Exactly. That's the overlap. It's not hallucinating goblin behind the rock.
It's looking at the rock and seeing what? Its history, its weight.
Seeing its possibility. The text says enchantment doesn't mean unreal. It means engaged. You're so present with an object that it stops being just a prop in the background. It becomes a subject.
Which explains why the source connects this to being childlike.
Yeah.
And I want to be careful here because calling an adult childlike can be an insult.
It usually is. It means you're not serious, you're not responsible.
Right. But the text just flicks that completely. It says children haven't learned to filter out wonder in the name of efficiency yet. A kid can just stare at a dust mote floating in a sunbeam for 5 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
I have seen my toddler do exactly that. And I'm the one standing there, tapping my foot saying, come on, we have to go, put your shoes on.
And that right there is the conflict. The source identifies the enemy of this state. And it isn't adulthood itself. It's efficiency. Or the specific term it uses is instrumentalism.
Instrumentalism. Okay, that sounds a bit academic. What does that actually mean in my day-to-day life? Because I feel like I am instrumental all day long.
It's the philosophy that things and even people only have value if they serve a function, if they're an instrument for something else. The text says fairyland fades when life becomes purely instrumental.
When everything is reduced to function, outcome, or control. Oof,
You feel that.
I feel that deep in my bones. Reduced to outcome. Everything has to have an ROI, right? Even our relaxation has to be productive. I'm not just going for a walk, I'm getting my steps in.
Exactly. You've nailed it. We look at a tree and only see shade or lumber. We look at a person and only see a network connection. We strip the aliveness out of everything.
It's transactional.
It's entirely transactional. It's like treating the universe like a vending machine. You put in effort, you expect a specific product out, and the source is basically saying you cannot be enchanted by a vending machine.
Okay, so if instrumentalism is the enemy, how do we fight it? I mean, I can't just stop being efficient. I have deadlines. I have to get groceries. My life would fall apart.
And the source doesn't ask you to. It's not about abandoning your life. The prescription it offers is surprisingly gentle. It says this state returns when usefulness relaxes.
When usefulness relaxes, that sounds lovely, but also really difficult. My brain is wired for usefulness. How do you actually do that without feeling guilty?
Well, the practical examples it gives are very grounded. It lists things like walking slowly.
That's it.
That's a start. Listening without agenda. Noticing pattern.
Listening without agenda, that is so hard. I catch myself all the time someone's talking, and I'm already planning my response.
Yeah.
Or I'm categorizing what they're saying. Is this a problem to solve? Is this information to store?
To just listen. Just to hear. It feels radical, doesn't it?
It does.
It's an act of rebellion against efficiency. And the text adds one more that I find really beautiful and really challenging. Letting beauty exist without commentary.
Without commentary. So it's not taking a picture of it for Instagram.
And not even analyzing it in your own head. Not saying, oh, that's a nice sunset, but it was better yesterday. Just letting it be. These behaviors, the source says, reopen the gate.
They signal to your brain that it's safe to stop filtering so aggressively. You said safe there. And that brings us to what I think is the most surprising part of all this. I expected it to be about philosophy, maybe spirituality, but the source connects this state directly to the nervous system.
This is where it gets really validating for me. Because if you frame enchantment as some kind of spiritual failing, that feels so heavy, like a character flaw.
I'm just too cynical to see the magic.
Exactly. But the source says, fairyland is not permanent. It comes and goes with regulation.
Regulation. So we're talking about the autonomic nervous system. Fight or flight versus rest and digest.
Correct. The text explicitly says, when the nervous system is calm, fairyland is close. When the system is overwhelmed, it recedes. This is biological.
When the tiger is chasing you.
Right. If a tiger is chasing you, or if your boss is emailing you with urgent in the subject line, your brain does not care how beautiful the light is hitting the leaves. It cares about survival. It can't afford to soften attention.
That makes so much sense. It explains why when I'm super stressed, everything just looks gray. Everything looks like an obstacle. My body thinks I'm in danger.
Precisely. And the source offers a really compassionate way of looking at this. It says, losing this state of wonder is not failure, it is rhythm.
It is rhythm. I love that. Because we beat ourselves up, don't we? We have a moment of peace on a weekend, and then Monday hits, and we think, oh, I blew it. I'm back to being a robot.
But it's just the body ebbing and flowing. You can't be in fairyland when you're doing your taxes. And you shouldn't be. You need that sharp focus sometimes. The problem is when we get stuck there.
And when we forget how to shift back.
Mm-hmm. And it all happens without anything supernatural. The source is firm on that. Nothing supernatural is required. It's just attention and your body's state.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate again. I can hear someone listening thinking, this all sounds lovely, but have you seen the world? There's so much suffering and pain. Is this just toxic positivity? Are we just ignoring real problems?
That's the crucial question. And if this were just escapism, I wouldn't be interested either. But the source addresses this head on. It says, fairyland does not deny difficulty. It reframes it.
How does it reframe it?
It says, hard things are still hard, but they are not meaningless. When we're in that numb, efficient state, suffering just feels like an annoyance, an obstacle. But in the state of heightened perception, even difficulty has texture. It has weight.
The text has that beautiful line. Stones have weight, trees have presence, water has memory.
Exactly. That suggests a world with gravity and history. It's not a fluffy paradise.
Yeah.
And the shift is that you stop fighting the world and you start relating to it.
Relating to it. That brings the concept of reciprocity, reciprocal care. What does that even look like? I mean, a tree doesn't care about me. It's just a tree.
Well, the source argues that, in a way, it does respond, or at least our relationship to it changes. It says, you tend to the environment, and the environment responds by feeling supportive.
So if I treat a person like a vending machine, they treat me like a customer.
Cold.
Yeah.
Transactional. But if you treat them with genuine curiosity, they respond with humanity. The source suggests the same dynamic can happen with our physical environment. This is not belief, it says. It is relationship.
So if I walk through my neighborhood treating it like a backdrop, it feels cold. But if I notice the gardens, the architecture, it feels like I'm a part of it.
You feel held by it. It becomes a companion. And in that relationship, the source notes there's a lack of hierarchy. Fairyland has no rulers and no demands.
No demands. That sounds like a vacation for the soul.
It really does. Think about how much of our efficient world is based on hierarchy and demands. To step into a mental space where participation feels light rather than forced, that is a massive relief.
It is. But
Yeah.
we can't stay there. We have jobs. We have to pay rent. The source isn't telling us to quit our jobs and live in a yurt, right?
No, and that's what makes this so practical. It says, adults often think they must choose between seriousness and fairyland.
Right. You're either a serious, productive adult or you're a dreamer with your head in the clouds.
But here's the core insight of the whole thing. The text says, in truth, fairyland makes seriousness bearable.
Makes seriousness bearable. Wow. That hits hard.
It's not an escape from reality. It's the fuel we need to handle reality. The source says it adds softness to effort, meaning to routine, joy to presence.
Softness to effort. I really like that. Because effort is hard. But there's a huge difference between that gritty, white-knuckling kind of effort, an effort that has some flow to it.
It's the difference between dragging a boulder and rolling it. And when you remember this state, the text says life feels less hostile, creativity returns, and kindness becomes easier.
That last one makes sense. If you aren't seeing everyone as an obstacle to your efficiency, if the person walking slow in front of you isn't blocking your path but is just a human walking slowly, you have more space to be kind.
Exactly. When you aren't numb, you have the capacity for responsiveness. You can actually see the world around you.
So what's the takeaway here for the person listening who has a meeting in 20 minutes?
I think it's that we need to stop viewing this state as a luxury. We treat it like dessert, something we get if we finish all our work. But the work is never finished.
The inbox is never empty.
Never. So if we wait, we'll die waiting. This is a necessary regulation tool. We can't live in efficiency mode 24/7. We burn out. We get brittle.
We get numb.
We get numb. This whole text is just an invitation to integrate this into our daily rhythm. It's not about checking out for a week. It's about checking in for 5 minutes.
So, walking slowly to the car.
Noticing the texture of the steering wheel.
Listening to the birds before you turn the radio on.
Just letting the light hit the wall without thinking about what you need to fix.
Just letting beauty exist without commentary. That's the practice.
And the promise is that if we do that, seriousness becomes bearable. Effort gains that softness.
So here's the challenge for you listening. The source says that the gate reopens when usefulness relaxes. So at some point today, try to be useless, just for a couple of minutes.
It sounds rebellious, doesn't it? Be useless.
It does. But try it. Walk slowly, look at something, a tree, a building, and don't try to use it or analyze it. Just let your attention soften.
See if you can feel the weight of things.
And remember, if you feel yourself getting stressed and that feeling goes away, that's not a failure. That's just rhythm. The gate will be there when the calm returns.
It's always close. It just requires a pause.
It leaves me thinking about how we define strength. We usually think of strength as being hard, unshakable, efficient. But maybe true strength is the ability to be soft enough to let the world in. Maybe enchantment is actually the most resilient state we have.
The softness is the strength. That's a beautiful thought.
Thanks for diving in with us. Go find some magic in the mundane today. We'll catch you next time.